Good morning and welcome to Life. My name is Rachel Hugenberg and I am the current hostess of Life. Um, this week we have in with us Assistant Director of the Library, Melanie Wachsmann, and she is going to be discussing board games because we all know with the holidays upcoming. I don't know about you, but my family likes a good board game after we get down to eating on Thanksgiving and during the holidays. So she's going to be chatting with us about the best board games available because y'all know you want to branch out from Monopoly.
Mhm.
And how to game virtually online with socially distanced so that if you're far apart from your loved ones or you just want to ease your gameplay and not have to set up everything, you can play online. Next week, Regina Vitolo, one of our reference librarians, is coming in to talk with us about the National Women's Conference that took place here in Houston that was actually called the Seneca Falls of the South. So come and enjoy that with us next week. And with that, Mel, if you would please.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I know I appreciate it, and I know Rachel appreciates it. And I'm thankful that she's given me a platform to talk about board games. So I came into board gaming probably about 10 years ago when I met my boyfriend, Monty, and he is actually the head honcho board gamer in our house. And most of the games are his, except for the ones that he buys for me or I get him to buy for me. So it's been really interesting and fun to learn about the different types of board games. And as I've been into the hobby, I've found games that I really like, and I've found that I'm good at some games, and I even get a little bit competitive, mainly only when I'm losing, because then I have to pout. But games are just fun, and I didn't grow up in a family that played a lot of games. He did every holiday. He's like, yeah, every holiday where there were gifts, I got a game. And I was like, we didn't do that. So going from a non-gaming family to his family who plays a lot of games, it's fun and it's a great way to pass the time. And especially now, since we've been quarantined and social distanced, we've had to find different and creative ways to still play our games. He has a weekly game group that he plays with, and they're still going strong playing their virtual games. So the roadmap of what it's going to look like today is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about history, the renaissance of board games, how they've come back into popularity. We're going to talk about everyone's favorite game, Monopoly, which Rachel already mentioned. We don't have Monopoly in our house. It's not allowed here. And then I'm going to talk to you about some different categories of games, explain them a little bit. So if you're looking for gifts or if you want to dip your toe into board games, these are some really good suggestions. Also, Monty and I have a YouTube channel. It's called Much Ado About Board Games. And the library hosts those videos as well on their YouTube channel. So I will highlight some of the games that we have videos for where we talk about what's in the box, how to play them. We'll do a run through, explain the rules. And so I think we're ready to get started. Oops. Okay. Oops. I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. Let me move that. Okay, can everyone see that? Awesome. Okay, so that's just, the cover screen, not much there. So let's talk a little bit about the history. So when I did play games, usually with my friends, these were the games that we played. We played Candyland. Actually, we did have that at home. That's a really good game to introduce to children the idea of taking turns. How do you take turns? What does it mean when you pick a color? That's the color you have to go to, not to the pink square that you want to go to. So it's a good game just to introduce children to the basics of board gaming. There's Risk, and I remember that being for the heavy duty, serious board gamers, and they would play all day. Life was one of my favorite games where you spun the wheel and I wanted to collect all of the babies on the track and fill up my car. Sorry, I loved that game too. And Trouble with the Pop-O-Matic Bubble. And then, of course, we have everyone's favorite game, Monopoly. So I liked Monopoly, but now there are just some better things out there. And I'm hoping. Can y'all hear that? Nope. Okay. Let me figure out. I don't know if I can share my audio. Nope. Do you know how to do that, Rachel? Oh, share multimedia? Okay, thank you. I don't have that option.
It should be at the top under the share menu, Mel.
Okay, I'm seeing this full screen. I have share content, share web browser, share my meeting window.
No, it's not listing it for you. Let me see if I can get it going on mine.
Oh, did you say share? No, it's still just share content, web browser. Multimedia is blacked out for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna see if it won't let me share it.
And if not, then we'll just move on.
Okay.
Nope. Okay, we'll move on. So basically, that is a video of someone saying, "Hey, I hear you're really into board games." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So you played Monopoly?" And he's like, "No, not Monopoly." And so he's trying to explain, and the guy just keeps saying, "So you're playing Monopoly?" And so it just kind of goes back and forth till the guy's finally like, "Yes, I played Monopoly." So that's all that video is. So it's funny for us because a lot of times that's what people think of when they think of board games. So let's talk about, there's really been a renaissance of board games recently. And so I was talking with Monty about popularity, how they gained popularity. How did it come back into fashion, so to speak? And since he's always been into board games, it's always been something on his radar. And I was like, well, when did it become really popular? And he said that when people started playing Magic the Gathering, the card game, and they would go to comic stores or who usually sell the Magic cards, and a lot of comic book stores still do sell Magic cards, that they kind of started playing other games like Warhammer and other games that I don't know with the miniatures and all of that's popular with the Magic crowd. And so while they would be there playing, the comic book stores started including games. And board games are really big in Europe. So that's where a lot of the board games that we play come from, though now there are a lot more American designers, but originally a lot of the board games other than Hasbro and Milton Bradley were from Europe. So Magic the Gathering was kind of the gateway of introducing more people, mainly the Magic people, to board games. And then we have something called FLGS. That's our friendly local game store. So just like books, we want to make sure that we're supporting our brick and mortar stores. It is super easy to order things from Amazon or Target or Walmart, but we have a board game store that's close to us called Dragon's Lair, and we really like to support them all throughout. Going through COVID, there was a time where they were closed, and Monty was like, I'm just going to donate money because we go there, we hang out, we play games. So things look a little bit different in that front because we're social distancing now. So your friendly local game stores are great places to go and find out about board games. There's usually somebody there who can point you in the right direction to help you find a game that would be appropriate for whatever you're looking for. But it's funny when we go somewhere new, someone will come up and, ask if we need help, and like, no, we don't need any help. But usually they're very persistent. And so sometimes it's like me going to Barnes and Noble and someone asking me, hey, do you need help finding a young adult book? Like, no, I really don't. I know what I haven't read already, and I know what I'm looking for. But if you're new, it's a great place to go. They also usually have a library of sorts where you can, again, with COVID, it's a little bit different, where you can demo a game. Sometimes they'll have nights where they'll show you how to play a specific game. There are also different board game cafes. I know Tea and Victory down near the Heights. That is a place where you can, don't know what it's like these days, but they have a game library. You can sit, order food, play games. There's also a brewery in Katy that I can't think of the name of right now, but they also have that same setup. The game store that's closest to Lone Star College, unfortunately, just closed. It was 8th Dimension. It was started out as a comic book store, and then it turned into comics and games, and unfortunately, they have closed. So always look around. You never know what you might find. Also, you can look on Meetup if you want to find a gaming group. So that's also something to look for. So then it kind of became really popular to play board games. So Will Wheaton, if you guys know who, 8th Dimension is still going. They moved. Okay. Well, thank you, Rachel. That's good to know. So Will Wheaton, who was on, I think most famous for Star Trek, he had a show on YouTube called Tabletop, where he and his friends would choose a game and they would play it. And that was the episode. You would see them playing it, their thoughts, their strategy. And so that was a way, I think, that really kind of brought different games into popularity. And at our game store, they would have an as seen on tabletop display. So if you were looking for specific games that had been played on tabletop, there they were. And it was also nice because you didn't have to read the rule book. I don't like reading the rule book. I want someone to explain it to me in 3 minutes, and then I just like to play it. Whereas Monty will sit and read the rule book, and he knows all the rules, and he takes forever to explain. So that's one reason I really like videos. Then we also had the Big Bang Theory, and here in this picture, they're playing Ticket to Ride, but they played a lot of different games throughout the show. And then, of course, we have Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard and their favorite game, Catan. And that's a game that a lot of people have heard of, and a lot of people play. I honestly have not played this one, but maybe I will someday. And then the next thing is that's a shelf at Target. So these are the board games that they're selling at Target. And we all know we love to go to Target, and I especially love to order things online, and they bring it out to my car for free. So if you're looking for a game, they have a pretty good selection, and they'll have some of the ones that I'm talking about. You can see Catan. You can also see Ticket to Ride, which is popular. And then you even see Risk and Clue down at the bottom. So they have a whole gamut of games. So that's kind of how it's come back into popularity. And especially now that we've been quarantined and, socially distancing, board games and puzzles have really come back into fashion. So let's talk a little bit about virtual games. So this was something that I had only done with the Jackbox games, which are the games over here. So it's if any of you are of a certain age like myself and you played You Don't Know Jack back in the day, maybe you had it on a CD-ROM or a floppy disk. We were all there. And so these are from the makers of You Don't Know Jack. And they're a super easy way to play games virtually. You can buy, they have, they call them a Jackbox party pack. That's a lot of keys there. But you'll get like a stack of games like that. And so we have ours Xbox, but you can also play them through Steam. And if you don't have a Steam account, it's free and you just download whatever you want to play. And they do have sales on their packs, so make sure that you wait a little bit. And sometimes you can get a really good deal on one of the party packs. And basically, it's kind of like what you do in a Zoom. You can share your screen and everyone can join in and it'll ask questions, just like You Don't Know Jack. That's one of the games. Drawful is a game where you're actually drawing. So sometimes it's better to use a tablet or a phone for that one. And you can also connect to the room. You have a game room that you can connect via the web. So it doesn't matter where anyone is, as long as they can see that main screen, they can still play on their phones. So we'll connect via computer and then we'll join the room on our phone. I hope that makes sense. But the game Fibbage is one of our favorites, and Quiplash. There's also one called Murder Trivia Party, which sounds horrible, but it's like you're stuck in a murder horror movie and the person who's narrating it is very sarcastic, and it's a lot of fun, especially for trivia, because I'm not good at drawing, unlike Monty and his son Julian. So, but that's really fun. Again, you can get those through your game console systems. You can also get them through Steam. So, and if you have a smart TV, it's really easy to run those. And if you have questions about that, just do a quick Google search and there will definitely be help and instructions on how to do that. So speaking of Steam, that's another place where you can download different games that you can play virtually. They have games like Ticket to Ride. They have the Jackbox games. There's an app called Tabletopia, and that is a board game well, there's Tabletopia, and there's also Board Game Simulator. Tabletopia is the one you want to go to, but you have to know how to play the game. So it's a little bit more difficult if you're just wanting to play a fun, quick game. Definitely don't use the Steam one. But so there are a lot of different games on Steam, and a lot of the physical board games you can find on Steam. And always look for discount codes. The next one I want to talk to you about is Board Game Arena. And you'll notice there's a little green star next to that one. You'll see that throughout. And those are the platforms or games that we have talked about on the Much Ado About Board Game videos. So you'll be able to look for those. So, and I want to actually show you Board Game Arena. I think this is the most user-friendly way to play games with someone across the country or someone across the room. One of the great things about it is if we want to play a game, but we are comfy in our chairs, especially since it's been a little bit colder outside and we don't want to have to get up and go to the table where we're not with our warm, comfy blankets in front of the fire, then we can just say, we'll play on Board Game Arena. So it's basically a board game that you just play via a website. And you can play at the same time, like turn-taking style, or you can just also play, you'll take a turn, and then whenever the next person gets to it, they take a turn. There's also an arena where you can play strangers. There is a chat function, so if you have children, just be aware of that. So this is what Board Game Arena looks like. This is my account. So right here, this little table is telling me I have 4 turns I need to take. This is my avatar. It was just one that they had there. They have Play Now. That's where you can play games in the arena, or you can do a simple game where you just play somebody else. So these are some of the games that well, these are all games that I like to play. So I've played a lot of these games. And then as far as the games, and some of these we have played in our videos, and we've also played the actual physical games, but the rules are exactly the same. So when you scroll through here, you'll see most popular games. They'll have the latest games, so the newest games that are on there. The crew is really fun, and so is Butterfly. It seems like a really simple kids game, but there's strategy with that one. It is free to make an account on Board Game Arena, but the games that have these little yellow, that's called a meeple. The little yellow meeple guy, those are for premium members, and you have to have a premium account. But the good thing is only one person has to be premium. So if you're a premium member and you want to invite one of your friends to play King Domino, a really fun game, that's a 2-player game, then only one person has to have premium. And I think it's about $20 to $24 a year. I think it's $2 a month or $20 if you pay for the whole year. So it's not super cost prohibitive, but you can also play a lot of the games that are just free for anybody. And so they do have a beta program and an alpha program. So if you play a lot of games, then you can do those. Monty and I both play the alpha and the beta games, so it's fun to kind of test those out. They have some for core gamers who are really into board games. I'm somewhat of a casual, which is what they call people who just kind of dabble. They aren't really immersed in everything. Monty says I'm more than a casual, but I kind of feel like I'm a casual. Oh, and here they have casual games. So these are usually quick, fun games. Can't Stop is one of my favorites that we're going to talk about later. They have abstract games, and I know someone was mentioning before we started Yahtzee. She and her family, they love to play Yahtzee. Well, this is a way that they can play Yahtzee. You can play hearts, backgammon. So, and they have short games. So they have things broken up medium length and then long games. So it's just a really easy, they have some classic games again. So this is my favorite way to play a game, and to set up a game to play, it's super easy. Liz is on here, and we play games on Board Game Arena. And I think she probably took her turns, and those are my games that I need to play. But to play a game, you just click on Play Now. You choose your game. But I want to play a simple game, just plays with random people. Arena is more challenging, like you're trying to win. So if you're super competitive, and you can also, so you do a simple game, and then I want to play real time, means you're doing one turn at a time, right in a row, turn-based, it doesn't matter. And then your choice of opponents, you can choose your friends if you only want to play with friends, and these are my friends right here. So you just click on a friend. So if I want to play a game with Liz, and then I choose the game and I click, I don't know what we're playing right now. Oh, we're not playing Koi Koi. So if I want to play Koi Koi with her and I click confirm, and now she's going to get a message the next time she's on that I want to play a game, and we just take our turns whenever we get around to it. So that's Board Game Arena. Again, we do have a video on this one. So you can take a look at it if you're interested in that. So if you're wondering how you can, I keep clicking on that. If you want to play with somebody, the easiest way is to set up a Zoom, a Meet, a Google Hangout. They don't call it anymore. Google Meet, is that what it's called? A WebEx, however you communicate. You can even just FaceTime if you want to, and just get on the website and play. So it's a lot of fun, and it's really easy. And there will be time at the end if you guys have questions. So now we're going to talk about the games. So we talk about party games a lot. So this is if you have a big group of people and you want a game that everybody can play. Social deduction games are really popular. If you've heard anyone talking about Among Us lately, that is the big game that I see everyone playing, though it's actually not a board game, it's an app, but we've heard that there's going to be a board game soon. So that's like Werewolf, and Avalon is another social deduction game. You're going on quests, and one or two of you is a traitor. And as you go on these quests, depending on the decisions you make, people will question who the traitor is. Social deduction games are not my favorite, but everyone I know loves Avalon. Hive Mind is a fun game where you have a topic like three male French names, and everyone would write down their three French names, and you want to match with the most people. So it's a little bit different than trying to be unique. You want to have the hive mind where everyone thinks alike. Code Names is a wordplay game where you're trying to find connections between different words on a board. And that one is just two teams. So it doesn't matter how many people you have, you can all play that game. Just One is a game where you're in teams again, and there will be a word that one person needs to guess. The rest of the group gets to write down a clue word, kind of like Password, if you guys remember that show. And so you write down your word. If there are any matching words, then the person guessing can't see that clue. But then you all turn around your clue words and they try to figure out what the word is that they're supposed to be guessing. And then Wavelength is actually the only game that I have a prop for because it's kind of hard to explain. So it comes with these cards. This again is teams. So it doesn't matter how many people, you'll have a little card like this with a topic. So we have boring topic and fascinating topic. And the person who's getting people to guess, they have this, and you turn this white wheel, and then they will lift this up, and they want to try to choose a word or phrase that will get their team to guess right here. So if I said board games, then everyone would think, oh, it has to be over here because it's that far over. But if I said, I don't know, cereal, then I like cereal, but it has sugar and carbs, so I try to not eat it all the time. So then they might guess in here. So this window is always covered up until they're finished guessing, and then you reveal and you get points based on how close you were to guessing where the right piece of the pie was. So that's Wavelength. Those are all party games, and those are a lot of fun. Next, we're going to talk about family games. So some people have smaller children, or, you know, they just want a good game for the family. Anything that has a blue cloud next to it means that it is available on Board Game Arena. Their logo kind of looks like a cloud, so that's why it's a blue cloud. So Sushi Go is a really popular drafting game. It's a card game. They also have Sushi Roll, where it's basically the same game, but just with dice. And they have Sushi Party, which allows you to switch things up a little bit. So you get your cards, you choose the ones you want, and you keep passing them around. And at the end of the round, you choose your cards to score your points. So it's a drafting game, and it's also a set collection game. So if you have 3 of one thing, you might get 10 points. It's really self-explanatory. And then Ticket to Ride is one that everyone I know loves to play. It's a train game. Sometimes it's a bus game if you're playing Ticket to Ride London, but you have routes that you need to get to earn points, and you can earn extra points picking up different routes along the way. But that's a lot of fun. There's a junior edition as well if you want to play it with younger kids who might not be ready for the regular Ticket to Ride. And they have a lot of different cities. So it's a lot of fun to see the different maps and the different points on the maps. Can't Stop is a pressure luck game. It's super fast and it's a lot of fun. Basically, you're rolling dice and you're trying to work your way up to the very top of the row and the stop sign, or the one that they've just updated. It's a mountain. So that's super easy if you're trying to teach your kids addition. It's great. They can play a game and practice their addition using the numbers 1 through 12. Carcassonne is a tile laying game that I honestly have not played, but I know that a lot of people like it. It's a great gateway game for people who want to start playing games. So again, Sushi Go, Can't Stop, and Carcassonne, those are all available on Board Game Arena. Then games for kids. I love playing games with kids. I don't know. I just like to hear their imagination and they get so excited. So Bugs in the Kitchen, we have a video on that one. It's super easy and kids don't even need to have to know how to read to play that game. So it's kind of a manipulation game where you're manipulating knives, spoons, and forks on a board, and there's a little nano hex bug that he runs around, and you try to get him into your kitchen, or if you play a different version, you try to keep him out of your kitchen. Happy Salmon is a great game if you have really rambunctious kids, or you have a group of kids coming over, or if you're adults and you're just feeling silly. This is a game where you have cards and you have hand motions. You have to match a hand motion. So there's like a pound it where you do a fist bump. There's high five. There's, I forgot what that one's called, but you have to switch places. Oh, switcheroo. You have to switch places with someone on the other side of the table or next to you. And then Happy Salmon, you both have to put your hand out and make like this motion, like your fishtails slapping together. And so you do this as fast as you can. So there's lots of yelling and running around the table. And then at the end, whoever gets rid of their cards first wins. And they do have 2 different sets now, so you can increase it from 6 to 12 players. And you can also play a silent version, which is really funny to watch. Sherlock is a memory game, but it's elevated in that there are cards around in a circle. You have to guess what it is, and there are arrows leading you to the next card until you get one that you've remembered and turned over. You take that card, and then a new card is added to the circle. So kids are so good at this game, and for some adults, it's really hard because we can't remember why we walk into a room sometimes. So, and then Boom Bang Gold is a game where kids are actually allowed to throw things. So we are all on an expedition to catch gold. It's really fast. It just takes a couple of minutes, well, maybe 10, 15 minutes to play. It's really fast paced. It helps with counting. And there are some silly hand motions and things that you can yell out too. So all of those games, I think, are perfect for kids and adults too. And then we have games for 2. I know some of us are quarantined with a special person in our life, or we get to see a special person every once in a while, and it's hard to find games sometimes that are good for 2 players. So Jaipur is a game where you are trading goods in a market for rupees, and you want to trade in the most goods before the rupees run out in 3 categories and have more rupees than your opponent. It's a really fun game, and it's available on Board Game Arena. Watergate is a game that I didn't think I would like, but it is exactly what it says. One person is Nixon, and the other person are the journalists trying to take Nixon down. And so while they're collecting evidence, he is trying to sabotage that evidence coming to light. And it's really fun, and it's also I learned a lot because I wasn't around during Watergate, so it's really interesting. If you know anyone who's a history buff, they would love it. Lost Cities is another Board Game Arena, and it's also one that we did a video on. It's a quick card game where you're entering expeditions. You don't really know all of the cards you're going to get, so you have to make some assumptions and hope for the best. Sometimes it's a lot of fun. Natillion is a game that's really hard to describe, but it's great because it's also a 1-player game too. So you can play it with 2 people, or you can just play it with 1 person. But it's a numbers game. You're rolling 3 dice, and you're having to decide which 2 you're going to use to help you and which one you're going to use for, I forgot what his name is, the black triangle on there. He's trying to get your boat. So you have to choose what's best for you, and then he also gets one of the dice as well. And then Patchwork is a really fun tile laying game with Tetris-like pieces. It has a quilting theme, and you're trying to build a quilt where you have all of your squares covered. And my cat just came in, so I apologize if she starts talking. All right, we have card games. So one reason I love card games is that they're super easy to carry with you. So Colorado is on Board Game Arena. It's also one that we did a video on. It's actually one of my favorite videos. We got a little bit silly in that one. But this one, you're trying to collect like colored chameleons. And the first 3 sets that you get are positive points. Any other colors that you get are negative points. So you're trying to do the best for yourself, but you can also sabotage the other people that you're playing with. The next game, it's either Papayu or Papayu. We don't actually know how to pronounce it, but we discovered this game on Board Game Arena, and it is super fun. I think it plays up to 8 players. We play this with Monty's son a lot, and he lives for most of the year, so it's super easy just to play. You don't even have to talk to anyone. But it's a trick-taking game. So if you like games like Spades and Hearts, you'll really enjoy this one. But there is a 5th suit of Payu cards, and any of those cards that you win in a trick are negative points. So you want to try to have the lowest score possible. This is available. I know I bought it on Amazon. It's really hard to find, but I think that now that it's so popular on Board Game Arena, that it will probably be more readily available in the States pretty soon. Llama is a fun card game, and I want you to notice that there's a sticker on that game. It looks like, well, it's a meeple with 2019 on it. It won the Spiel des Jahres, which means Game of the Year in German, and probably if I had a better accent. And so that's basically the pinnacle of what a board game designer and publisher can win for the year, is if you have the game of the year. So if you see a game that has a Spiel des Jahres award, or I forgot what the one for the kids is, it's something with Kinder in it, obviously, then you know that it's a good game and a lot of people have played it. So Llama is a fun card game. It's kind of like Uno, but you can go out at any time, and it's only numbers 1 through 6 and a llama. And any cards that you're left with, you will get chips for. But if you are able to get rid of all of your cards, then you can lose a chip. It's really fun. Sometimes it takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes to play a game because you just aren't doing too hot, and other times it can take a while to play. Exploding Kittens is one I think that many people know about. It's basically Russian roulette with cats, and there are many expansions, one including a cone of shame, and there's one I think with like dog ears or cat ears that just came out too. So that one's a lot of fun. I know kids love that one because the cats on there are really funny. Fuji Flush is another fun card game. It's a numbers game where you're trying to, it's a card shedding game where you're trying to get rid of your cards the fastest, a la Uno, but you don't ever gain a bunch of cards. But that one's super easy and a lot of fun. And then one of my very favorites is Point Salad. This unfortunately does not come in a small box. Actually, our Point Salad is right here. So it actually comes in a bigger box, which I don't understand because it's basically a deck of cards. But this is a game where that involves vegetables and points, hence Point Salad. So you get to choose your vegetables, and on the back of those vegetable cards are scoring cards. So you get to choose how you will be scoring the vegetables that you collect. We took this one on a cruise that we went on last year, and it was super fun. And again, it's easy. So we have videos on Coloretto and Point Salad, and Coloretto is on Board Game Arena. Oh, wow, I went really fast. I didn't want to take too long. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite games. I have a lot of favorites, but these are some of my very favorites. So we have the Isle of Cats. This is a game that's a little bit heavier of a game. That's what people say when it's not just a light and fluffy game. So it's a little bit, has a little bit more strategy, but it's still really fun. So you're going to the Isle of Cats and you're trying to rescue these cats and bring them onto your boat. These pieces are like Tetris pieces as well. So you're trying to fit them on your boat. You want to try to have cats in families. So 3 or more of the same color. On the boat, there are different rooms that you want to try to cover up to get points. There are also rats on the boat that you want to cover up. But it's a really fun game. And one thing I love about it is on the lid, it has a little bullseye for your cat to sit in, because they know that cats love to sit in boxes. So it's actually on the inside of the box. We do mention I Love Cats in one of our videos, and we show that box, but we didn't actually do an explanation. Paperback is a deck building game. So if you've ever heard of Dominion, that's a very popular deck building game. But Paperback is a word game. And I love words. I'm a librarian, so I love reading and I love making words. So in this game, you are collecting cards and they have letters on them, and you want to use those cards to make words to get bonus points. And those bonus points consist of novels that have been written. So if you are a bibliophile, you would love Paperback. It's a lot of fun. And there is also an expansion called Hardback. Splendor, I think, is the first game that I truly fell in love with. And if you have someone in your family or a friend who's into MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they just came out with a Marvel version. It's the exact same game, but it has Marvel characters. So if you have anyone in your family who likes that, look out for that. I've already seen it in some stores. So Splendor is a game where you are searching for gems, and it's an engine building game. So you're trying to create engines that will keep creating gems. And the more gems you have, the higher point cards you can get. And the goal is to get 16 points at the end. It's a really fun game because all of a sudden you're almost at the end of the game and you didn't realize someone has 14 points and everyone's racing at the end to try to get to 16 points first. Potion Explosion is available on Board Game Arena, and I don't really know of any other games like it. So you are an alchemist and you're trying to create potions. And again, it's a point-based game, so you get points for your potions and also for having 3 of the same potions or collecting 6 different potions. But on the game board is basically a rack that has rows and rows of marbles. And you create explosions by picking up one colored marble. And if the 2 on either side of it are the same color, it creates an explosion. And it keeps going that way until 2 marbles of different colors knock into each other, because those can't explode. And you take those marbles and you fill them in on the little potion cards. It'll maybe need like 3 reds and 3 blues, or 2 reds, a yellow, and 3 blacks. And so that's how you're earning your points. It's a lot of fun. And then Cat Lady, one of my very favorite games. It is a drafting game, and it's also a set collection game. If you know anyone in your family who is a cat lady or just love cats, it's a great game. They do have a premium version that is in a tin, and it has some extra cards where you can create your own cats. So if you have cats in your house, they can each have their own card, but you're trying to rescue stray cats, and you're collecting toys and food to feed them. So it's a lot of fun. And they did just come out with an expansion as well. And we do have a video on Cat Lady. All right, so let's talk about some board game resources. So you're thinking, wow, that's a lot. It is a lot, but it's really fun once you get into it. For all things board games, go to boardgamegeek.com. And I read they just updated their website, which is good because their website was a little bit confusing. But if you need suggestions for board games, if you need help with rules, if you want to watch a video about how to play a game, it's all on there. They do have a yearly board game convention in Dallas called BGGCon, which I think we've gone the past 5 years. It's basically in the bottom of a hotel. They open up all the ballrooms, and it's just tables and tables and tables, and people play games 24/7. They have a board game library where you can, I think they have over 40, maybe 10,000 board games. I don't know. It's an insane amount of board games. You go and you can check them out for free. You play them, take them back, and people will play. I think they play for 3 or 4 days straight. They also have vendors there, so you can buy games, you can find out about new games. And since it's in Dallas and pretty close, we usually go. Unfortunately, it's been canceled for this year. It's actually in November, so it's been canceled, but they will have an online version So check out their website for anything board game related. If you are someone who goes on Reddit, there is a board game subreddit, which is not surprising. There's a documentary on HBO Max that just came out called Game Masters that we really enjoyed. It had the guys who did Exploding Kittens, as well as some other board games. That was interesting. So you kind of find out what it takes to kind of create a board game, to having it actually be published and sold. And there's one guy on there who also won the Spiel des Jahres. So it was a really good board game. Lastly, if you're looking for information about board games, I like the rules by watching people play. It's easiest for me because I just can't read those rule books. So, of course, there's our channel, Much Ado About Board Games, that you're welcome to watch. It's also hosted on the library's YouTube, so you can find it both places. There's also a channel called Watch It Played with Rodney, and he's great. He's excellent. There's the Dice Tower Network, who it's pretty much headed up by Tom Vassell. He's a big name in the board game world. And then there's also Rahdo Runs Through by Rahdo, and he's also big in the board game world. And then again, at the bottom, the stars, we have a video about it, and the cloud, it's available on Board Game Arena. And now, if you guys have any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them for you.
So, just to put out a good rec for the board games before, we've talked board games at the desk, and I was wondering, what do I give my significant other's family for Christmas? They're board gamers. And you gave me some wonderful advice, and they really loved the games, especially Cat Lady was much enjoyed. Any particular suggestions for beginning gamers if you're going to start on the internet platform? Because I know it would be nice to do some playing long distance, and
there's a really fun game. Well, there's one for 2 players called, I always want to call it Lucky Clovers, but it's called Lucky Numbers. I'm going to open up my Board Game Arena just to make sure. I just want to look and see. But it's called Lucky Numbers, and you're basically placing numbers on a board to try and get them in numerical order across and down. So that one's super easy. There's a really fun card game called Koi Koi for people who like card games. It's a Japanese game based on, I think they're called the Hanafuda cards. But they're these Japanese cards where you can actually play a bunch of different games, and Koi Koi is one that we like to play. But of course, that's only 2 players as well. Liz, do you have any suggestions? You're muted. Oh, there you go.
For a good starting game, that Carcassonne Online is a good starting game as well. You've said good ones. Koi Koi is a really good one. Can't Stop is a great starting game, and I think it's actually the one that when you sign up for Board Game Arena, that's the game that they kind of guide you towards, is that Can't Stop. So that's a good one. And then if you're not a gamer but you're wanting to play games online, Melanie had said earlier they do have Yahtzee, they do have chess. So there's lots of other games that you can play to get into the board game stuff.
The game Butterfly is really easy too. I mean, I think that's a super easy gateway game as well. The rules are easy to understand. You're moving a cute little hedgehog, collecting butterflies. So that's definitely one I would recommend as well.
And Melanie likes it because she beats me every time we play.
I do not.
Very nice. Have you guys heard that right now one of the things the CDC is actually doing is they're playing a game called Pandemic, which was made before this all happened, and they're actually playing it for situation scenarios to figure out,
I was going to actually mention that game, but then I was like, I don't know if I should talk about it. But it's
Sorry.
it's a fun it's a fun game for people who like cooperative games. So you're in a team trying to stop a pandemic, and it's very, very popular. I, for one, am not a huge fan of cooperative games, so we don't play it a lot, but it is very popular. Trying to look and see.
Brad is saying he's a fan of Munchkin. Lori's saying she's going to check out Cat Lady. Liz was really excited about Happy Salmon because apparently it's
okay. Munchkin is so much fun. Melanie won't play it with me because she does not like it, but it's so much fun, and there are so many different versions of Munchkin. Another great game that I think is a lot of fun is Flux. And what's nice about Flux is that there's really no rules. It kind of changes every time. And they have so many different versions. They have the Marvel version, the Batman version, the everything version. So that's another great game.
Nice. We're getting some love for Codenames and Sushi Go and Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride.
You guys are already playing great games. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention is that many of the games have apps that you can buy. Some of them are quite expensive to me, but if it's a game that you love and you want to play with your significant other or someone in your family distance-wise, then I would go for the app. There's a really good Cat Lady app. I actually did buy that one. There's a game called Sagrada that has a good app. Ticket to Ride has a nice app. So a lot of these games have apps that you can buy on your phone. So if you know there's just one that you really, really like to play, then you can always look for that as well.
Yeah, and some of the little $20 games from Target, I've bought a couple of those, and those actually are pretty fun. iDescent was good. The Blockbuster one.
My favorite games. This is my Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper game. And it's just a fun set collection game. But if like this was your life when you were younger, you'll love it. There are notes and report cards, and it's very, very cute. And I did read an article yesterday that Target said that their game sales have gone up 50%, which I'm not surprised. And they said they're also going to be having more Target exclusive games. Like Oregon Trail was a game that's a Target exclusive. So they'll be having some more of those coming out as well.
And I got a great game at Target called Horrified. It's super fun. It's all the like monsters, like you have to beat Dracula and Frankenstein and the creature from the Black Lagoon, and it's super fun.
Nice.
I'm really excited to get to play some of these, and hopefully, people will continue sharing their faves in the chat. Zombie Flux has been Susan saying Zombie Flux, and Rachel Evans has said Lisa Frank was her life as a kid, and I don't know that existed, so I'll have to check that out. I am with you on that one.
They have
Color It Velvet posters.
They have 3 designs for that Trapper Keeper game. I think one's a space theme and the other one is like a beach paradise theme. But I was like, I have to have the Lisa Frank. I don't care how many Targets you have to go to. I must have Lisa Frank.
Yes, we are, as Rachel Evans says, we are all about Lisa Frank here, which, Target has had some interesting stuff that was Lisa Frank in the past couple of years. We've had some interesting games as well. I know that my family played the Jack in the Box games, which you can actually do. We all have iPhones, so it kind of works okay on Android phones, but that may just be that my significant other's phone is questionable in terms of quality. But you can actually play those Jackbox games streaming through phone and TV as a thing if you don't have Steam or a controller, because I know my parents, they have cell phones, and that's the technology. So if you're looking at folks who might not have some of the more finer things, it definitely is a really nice option, and it's really fun.
Yeah, and you
Some I
can,
think are a little more teen and adult oriented.
yeah,
But
and Board Game Arena is really easy to do with just phones, you know, and so I love Board Game Arena. It's nice to just, you take a 5-minute break for something and you just go through and take your turns. And then if you want to play a full out game, then you can do that as well.
okay. Anything else about board games, Mel?
I don't think so. I just want to thank you guys for all coming, and I hope that maybe you found something that there's Victor.
Oh,
Maybe you found
there's
something
Victor.
that you'll be interested in playing or, buying as a gift or, just trying it out and trying
Yeah, a
something
couple of
new.
people are on here for the gift suggestions. Really appreciate them. I've been keeping an eye on them as well, since the fam does love a good board game. So next week we are going to be with Regina Vitola, one of our reference librarians here, and we are going to be discussing the National Women's Conference that happened here in Houston, called Seneca Falls of the South sometimes. So do come and enjoy and learn a little piece of women's history with us. Thank you so much, Melanie, for coming out and teaching us about board games and giving us game ideas to play and a little bit of the history and the background about board games.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate everyone being here. And
thank you for
if you have
bringing your
questions,
baby, Rachel E.
and if you have questions about games, you're welcome to send me an email.
Okay, so thanks so much. And we are at just about time. So if anyone has questions for Melanie or further comments, go on ahead. He woke up from his nap. He can't wait. We can't wait to play board games with him someday. They're a really good thing to do with kids.
Mm-hmm.
Learn some skills. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I think we are going to be seeing you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Bye.